there's not really yet a system that can define like what this flow is. So anytime I try to talk about it like I am now, like in a video, it doesn't really come across. You've got to have something in your hands and be trying different things in real life to really feel it. So what's the best way? Like, so and now like we talked about Milo, like people getting their pattern reversed, and so they're moving better, and their structure's better, they're getting lower, and they're powering it the correct way. But we have some players that take it back real like deliberately and then attack the ball with a ton of speed. And then some players that take it back like more dynamically, like fast back, like little pause and then real fast through. So how does somebody decide, Milo, like when they're developing like flow and stuff, what should be their personal pattern of how fast to take it back and then how fast to go through?
That's a tough one, but I would say in general, most really high level players pattern kind of matches who they are and how they, like a guy who talks slow and walks slow, like a Freddie Couples. It looks more smooth. And then a guy who's kind of more quick paced, like back in the day, Nick Price, really fast back and through. So generally, the way you move will kind of match who you are.
Right.
But I would say that most professionals actually have more up-tempo swings than amateurs. Amateurs are a lot more apt to be really slow and then jerk, where pros generally have a little bit more of a flow to their golf swing, where it's, tour tempos come up with 3-to-1 is kind of a really good ratio that we see most good players kind of fall into that window.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, some guys are a really quick 3-to-1, like long drivers tend to fall into more like the 18-6.
Yeah, that Martin guy right now is something ridiculous. Like super fast.
But it takes a lot of strength to be that fast. I can't do it. The fastest I've ever been able to do is like 21.7. But when I do, I'm swinging really hard. But I can't play golf like that. That's too fast for me to actually play and have control. My favorite way to figure out these things is through some little step drills, or like if we put a club out in front of you and say, okay, swing it back, swing it through. That's going to be a pretty good tempo generally for most people. They're putting swing into the motion rather than just going from static and being slow.
Yeah, I know that like in New Jersey at the USGA place, they have the machine that like the Iron Byron machine that tests clubs. They have it a lot of places, not just there. But that machine starts its swing here, right? And then it goes back and then it unloads it. But for athleticism and for repeatability, you notice like everyone at the school, when we were doing all of our step drill stuff, every single step drill starts out here. And then that gets kind of into takeaway, Milo. So when you start out here and then you go back and through, why do people look so much more athletic and so much more in sync when they start out here rather than starting from a dead stop here and going?
Because they're starting with momentum in the system to begin with, so they don't have to do anything to jerk the club and get it moving.
Oh, okay.
You got the weight of it out here, you let it fall and you go with it.
Okay, so if we can't start out here because the ball's in the way and it's going to make hitting it difficult, we've got to start it back here. So what is, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but what is a way that then from this start, we can have a backswing with a little bit that, even though we're starting here, would look more like we started it out here?
We can implement an actual trigger or a mechanism that gets some momentum into our body. We see it with a lot of long drivers where they'll either do something like this with their hips, or they'll get their feet moving, and when the pressure hits their right foot, that's when they start to move the golf club, and it makes it a lot easier to move it.
Okay.
And move it faster. Well, I'm looking to see that the force is preceding the motion.
Yeah.
And the motion is always staying ahead of the golf club. So it's club's going up. Just before the club peaks out at the top, the body starts to go the other way and open up, creating a stretch.
Yeah.
And then the club unloads. If that's what's happening and you're 105, then you're probably pretty close to your top.
Right.
If you're going 105 and you're doing everything backwards,
Yeah.
then you got a lot more in you. You could go a lot faster if you figure out how to get things to work correctly.
Is there a type of player that has an easier or a more difficult time with sequence, like men with like really strong arms and upper bodies? Like, do they have a harder time with sequence than like kids with really weak upper bodies, or women, or is there, or is just all of
I
them
would
men?
say in general, yes. In general, men, if they stopped playing competitive sports and worked in an office, then they come out to golf. It's pretty easy to take this 1 pound golf club and manhandle it and hit it with just your hands and arms. Easy
Right.
to do. So their sequence a lot of times breaks down. Their legs don't really do anything to help them. So they're not maximizing. You can play pretty good like that. I can hit it fairly decent like that, but not as good as I could. I would say that men, because of our upper body strength, we have an easier time making this club. We can make it go pretty good just like that with just our hands and arms, and sometimes our bodies fall asleep. Where a kid, this thing's like a sledgehammer to them. They have to use everything. They're recruiting everything in their body just to get it to move. And so you almost always see them going, they get this thing up here, their body will squat and turn, and they'll fling it around. At least the good kids. There's kids who do the opposite too, but I would say in general, kids who are decent at golf, they almost always have that pattern.
When you get a really young kid that hasn't had any lessons, but like is just doing air swings, especially like really young, and the clubs are too heavy for them. Because that's the thing I always notice when you do see a swing, is that it's like a 1 pound golf club, let's say, but like a pro, like we just saw in the Ryder Cup, like John Rahm, like he's way stronger than me, but it looks like when I'm swinging, it looks like I'm swinging like a 1 pound golf club. But when John Rahm's swinging, it looks like he's swinging like a 50 pound golf club.
They're using everything to swing the golf club rather than just the last segment in the chain to swing the club.
So that look of taking something light, but moving it as if it's super heavy, that's elusive. Like, what's kind of I know there's not just one thing, but what's normally like a way that we can get the force preceding the motion a little bit better, like a 1% better every day? What would you give as like a prescription to get this moving a little bit better? We used to hear about like dragging a wet mop or swinging heavy clubs. What do you like to do?
I use a heavy club. I'll also tie a towel to the end of the golf club just so it creates some resistance in the air, and it also makes the thing heavy. So that you feel like that end of the golf club is a lot more substantial than it is.
Right.
And so you have to recruit more muscles and more parts of your body to get it to move, and just ingrain the feeling. You don't have to go fast, but just ingrain the feeling of using everything to swing it rather than just throwing it at it with your hands.
Right. All right, guys. So want to let you know about this golf school that we have coming up on October 18th and 19th in San Diego. Go to bebettergolf.net/school and you'll see information about that. Or send me an email, contactbebettergolf@gmail.com. If you're not able to come out to the school, I want you to check out this thing that Milo and I put together. Really, really cool product that we worked really a long time on, called the Driving Force, which is available at bebettergolf.net/driving force. And it really talks about, Milo was just talking about ingraining. And the thing that I learned during the Driving Force was this thing called I knew about ground forces, but it's really not so much about the magnitude of your ground force, which is important, but it's really more important ground force pattern that you have. So that was the big change for me that I wasn't doing when I was doing my Crush 100 challenge. I really didn't have a good concept of ingraining a better, more efficient ground force pattern. And then also later on, when I got more into the force happening before the motion happens, that was the real, I could have beat my brains in with practice, but until I knew that and until I felt that like athletically, it just, I was going to be kind of spinning my wheel. So that was a huge improvement area for me. So check out bebettergolf.net/school and you'll see information about the school. Check out milolinesgolf.com. If you're not able to come to the school, you can do kind of a virtual version of it with Milo's great website, which is a membership website, all kinds of different videos, and a really cool social media, like a separate social media page that is just for members. That there's a lot of really great back and forth with Milo and his team of instructors and all the other students, like kind of getting together. I'm on there. It's a lot of fun. And if you use the promo code in the for Milo Alliance Golf, Be Better Monthly or Be Better Yearly, you'll get a great discount on that too. So thanks again, Milo, for joining us. We'll see you in San Diego.
Looking forward to it.
All right, bye.